Hello and thanks for joining me. I'm Matthew Rondina with Best Buy Canada's Best Buy blog. Today I am first unboxing and then fully reviewing the BenQ TK700 gaming projector. If you're looking to maximize your gaming screen real estate, the BenQ TK700 is one of the best projectors on the market. Not only is it designed to support the Ultra HD demands of modern consoles like the PlayStation 5 and Xbox Series X, it also boasts a blazing fast 16 millisecond response time while playing. I've had a few weeks to put the TK700 to the test with games like Gran Turismo 7, Halo Infinite, Tiny Tina's Wonderlands, and more. The projector has left me extremely impressed, from punchy colors, crisp detail, to a great set of features aimed at video game enthusiasts. The gaming engine within the TK700 can handle competitive multiplayer sessions with an impressive array of features and specs. Let's delve further into the projector's features and put the TK700 to the test with content across different platforms. Let's hit rewind for a moment before hopping into all the games and different content and talk about what it's like to set up the TK700. The setup is straightforward thanks to clear instructions from the manufacturer. Inside the box, you'll find everything you need to get up and running in minutes. The package includes the base TK700 projector, which of course I'm just removing the packaging from here. Next up we have the included remote, North American standard power cable, and all of the elements in terms of paperwork, which include the quick start guide, regulatory guide, and warranty card. So before I begin the formal setup of the TK700, here is everything that comes in the box, nicely displayed, all the packaging off, save for a few wraps on the power cords and such. Here we have the TK700 unit, which is nice and compact, fairly lightweight. I am going to be doing a side-by-side comparison with the actual projector next to controllers and consoles, just to give gamers a better idea of the sizing of the unit. In the meantime, though, I'll just keep panning over the unit and zooming in on various components just to give you a better idea of the look, feel, and finish of the hardware. Just to wrap up our unboxing here, again, we have the power cord. No adapters for anything but North American power cord standards, so 3-prong cable. We have the quick start guide, as well as the regulatory statements, which I'm sure everyone goes over those in deep, long detail. North American warranty card information. Don't forget to register your device. Nice compact remote control. So again, with this one, all the batteries are included. On-off switch. The remote itself doesn't light up, but I mean, it does feel great in the hand, as well as rubberized buttons. They don't make an annoying click when you're inputting anything into them. And again, there are those batteries. Thumbs up. I love when manufacturers include batteries. One thing that is absent from the packaging is an HDMI cable, which you might be thinking, hey, it's usually included with most devices, but it would be great just to have one HDMI cable thrown in with the overall package. Just streamlines the setup. Alright, so now that we've thoroughly covered what comes in the box, let's get back to the projector itself. In terms of the physical sizing, the unit itself is a lot more compact than I expected, especially with all of these higher end features, which requires more space and ventilation and so on and so forth. But the unit itself just weighs in at just under 7 pounds. I myself, I'm an educator, I'm a gamer, I'm someone who's always doing something tech related that's on the move. So in my time, I've carried a lot of projectors, whether it's teaching or gaming or doing something else. And this is a lot lighter, a lot more compact than any of those other projectors that I've used, and it's a much higher performer. The dimensions themselves break down to 12.2 inches for the width, 4.3 inches for the height, and a 9.6 inch depth. Again, as I mentioned before, I did line these up against some of my gaming consoles to give you a better idea of the actual unit size. So let's have a look. Kick things off, here we have the Nintendo Switch, the Xbox Series X, and then finally the BenQ TK700 nestled between the entire setup right next to the extra large PlayStation 5. So as a gamer, I figured this is probably one of the best ways to kind of get an idea of that size contrast and comparison. As you can see, it kind of sits in that mid-range between the Xbox Series X and the PS5 for sizing. And here's another comparison with the PlayStation 5 DualSense controller on the actual top of the projector. So hopefully this helps to give you a better sense of the scale. And for our final gaming reference point, let's just pop a Nintendo Switch OLED on the top of the TK700. I hope all these different frames of reference help. When it comes to the setup of the TK700, you can either put it on a flat surface or ceiling mount the projector. I opted to project from a tabletop onto my living room wall. The 3 feet on the bottom of the projector are easily adjustable to make some quick tweaks if needed. The TK700 is a short throw projector, giving you a lot of flexibility and placement options. Along with this, it features a 2D keystone to eliminate trapezoid effects. So keep that in mind. You can also adjust the lens's manual zoom and focus for tweaks as needed to your setup. And starting up the TK700, you'll go through a step-by-step process that will help you properly orient the projector, which is super helpful. The TK700 has all the modern inputs you'd expect on a high-performance projector. Let's take a tour of what the back of the TK700 looks like. First up, we have the actual power outlet right in there, or power input. Next we have the HDMI 1, which features HDCP 2.2, which is also featured on the second HDMI port along with eARC support. We have the connection for PC, and of course a 3.5 millimeter out, audio out, as well as a powered USB port. The third USB port is actually behind a panel, that BenQ panel, which can be removed with a Phillips head screwdriver. Under the panel, along with the extra HDMI port, is a micro USB input. So this area is reserved for BenQ's QS01 Android streaming device, but it works just fine with other devices. The main reason I would consider using a projector over a traditional television is for the sheer size of the image. The TK700 has a 1.3 zoom lens with a throw ratio of 1.127 to 1.46. It basically can project 100 inches at roughly 8 feet. This means that you can get a 100-inch diagonal image from just under 2.5 meters away with the projection surface. I did all my testing with the recommended above distance, which comes directly in line with the manufacturer's recommendation. In terms of my projection surface, I used a white matte wall in my home with no special treatment or finishes. So most white drywalled walls in any home across Canada, you're going to get somewhat of a similar kind of test base. So just keep this in mind with all my impressions and all the visuals. They are based on these environmental conditions. Let's talk about the TK700's visual performance. The actual hardware is powered by a Texas Instruments DLP chip that's capable of displaying Ultra 4K resolution at a blazing fast 60 Hz. The projector uses BenQ's game engine that is designed to produce accurate colors and is optimized for dark scenes. The black detail enhancement and clarity is great, as it's not as easy for enemies to hide in the shadows. The TK has a rated brightness of 3200 lumens and a contrast ratio of 10,000 to 1. It is also capable of displaying true 4K UHD 3840 by 2160 resolution with 8.3 million distinct pixels. In my testing with SD content, the TK700 was able to get very bright in my living room with some ambient light. Like with most projectors, once I turned off all the lights, the image quality improved drastically. When projecting in a very dark environment, the black tones appeared more inky and less of a dark gray. The image was stable and clear, with no evidence of rainbow effect that can sometimes be seen with DLP projectors. The colors were accurate and pleasing to the eye, with the HDR content showing a wide range of bright whites and deep blacks. Overall, I was quite impressed with the colors, tonal range, and overall performance of the projector. The TK700 and the next-gen console gaming performance was excellent. I tested the projector with a PlayStation 5, Xbox Series X, and Nintendo Switch. The 700 had no problem displaying 4K HDR content from the PS5 or the Series X. The input lag on the TK700 is rated at 16 milliseconds, which is excellent for a projector. I didn't notice any massive input lag while gaming, but your mileage may vary depending on the game that you are playing. I was able to test out a few different games across a plethora of genres. First up, I tested out Gran Turismo 7, which was a real treat on a 100-inch screen. Because of the braking and predicting the apex and turns, it took some time to get used to with the latency. A few races in and playing on the TK700 was fantastic. Colors popped and the range of light and dark tones were excellent. The massive size of the projected area really enhanced the immersion in each of the races. I also played a few FPS games in Tiny Tina's Wonderlands and Halo Infinite. These games required a lot more precision and really put the projector's response time to the test. I am happy to share that both were excellent on the big screen and I didn't notice any big latency issues. The details were sharp and the black levels in game mode looked great and enemies weren't harder to track in dark areas of the map. The sound quality from the onboard 5-watt internal speakers is surprisingly good. It's fairly clear and loud enough to fill a small to medium-sized room. I did notice it did sound a bit tinny, but it got the job done for video clips that had a lot of dialogue. If you're looking for a more cinematic experience, I would recommend connecting the TK700 to a soundbar or home theater system. The audio return port supports eARC, allowing Dolby Atmos and 7.1 channel audio pass-through, offering optimal sound performance with compatible home theater equipment. Here are my final thoughts on the BenQ TK700. It's an excellent gaming projector that ticks all the boxes for me personally. It has great image quality, low input lag, and HDR support. It's also a great projector for general use with movies and other video content, but really shines with gaming. It's easy to set up and use with a variety of inputs and outputs. Speaking of inputs, the only issue I ran into was a very long lead time when it came to switching said inputs, taking upwards of 20 seconds going between sources. Overall, the TK700 is a great projector that delivers a feature set with gamers in mind. I'm Matthew Rondina with Best Buy Canada's Best Buy blog. Thank you so much for watching and happy gaming!